Have you ever loved your spouse but just didn't like them in the moment? Well, you are not alone. Mm-hmm. In today's episode, we're diving deep into how to keep the love strong even when the like isn't there.
Okay.
So stay tuned.
Hey, Mr. Friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your girl, your host, Cece. As always, I'm joined with my husband here. What's going on, babe?
I'm good. Everybody, this is Will, and thank you for joining us today. If this is your first time tuning into our podcast, this is a weekly podcast where we bring you inspiring, relatable, and relevant content every Saturday. Now, in this podcast, we talk about
love, life, family, relationship. You guys know what we do here, so we are so glad that you are here with us today.
Absolutely. Anyway, before we jump into the topic of the day, we always like to share with you what we call our blissful moment. Now, that's either something that we did, something that happened to us, or sometimes something I've been expecting and it just happened. Mm-hmm. So, what's your blissful moment?
Well, got some ice pack here. Earlier today, unfortunately, I accidentally closed my fingers on the door, on the closet door.
How's that blissful?
The blissful part is my little one
Ran out and got you some ice?
Listen, when you have a good kid, you need to praise them, okay? My little one went out of her way. She heard, ow! And she's like, Mommy, what's wrong? I'm like, I closed my fingers on the door. Mm-hmm. And she went in the fridge. She said she almost slipped and hurt herself.
I know. These people exaggerate. I'm sitting right here. I saw her. I mean, she almost slipped. No, she just ran to the fridge and got the stuff.
Listen, I wasn't there. That's what she said, baby. So I'm just saying what she said. But my blissful moment is both of my daughters were very kind enough to ask me if I'm okay. Like I said, the little one who came in the fridge and get the ice for me. So now it's resting on my finger. And my Brie actually kissed my boo-boo and blew on it for me. She was like, Mommy, let me see what you hurt your finger. So I was like, right here. And she started kissing it and blow on it. You know, that's what I do for them when they hurt. I kiss their boo-boo and I give, babe, come on. You never kiss the girl's boo-boo?
No.
Okay, you see, this is all moms. I'm sure any mother can relate to what I'm saying. When your kids is hurt, you kiss their boo-boo and they feel better. So my daughter was like, Mommy, let me kiss your boo-boo. And she did.
You feel better already. Put the ice away.
What's it with you, sir?
I have a better blissful moment. You know, there used to be a time that if I go like this on this chair. I feel like
you don't feel bad. You don't feel bad for me.
I do feel bad. Let me kiss the boo-boo for you.
Really?
Feel better now. Put the ice
whatever. But anyway, that's my blissful moment. My girls are really, really love their mommy and they show me love when I'm hurt, okay? That's my daughters, and I love them for that.
I love them for that as well, but I would not close my finger in the door.
Things happen on accident, not purposefully, sir.
Anyway,
what's your blissful moment?
I got to play some basketball earlier this week. I got home, and the kids like, we got to go to the basketball court. And I'm like, yeah, why not? I haven't been. Now, I couldn't shoot for a thing.
You didn't practice.
And listen, there's a lot of things that I'm good at.
You didn't practice.
And this is not one of them. But then again, yes, I haven't practiced. Yes, we have a small court and it's a half court. Actually, it's not even a half court.
It's a tennis court.
They kind of built it off the tennis court.
Yes, there
So the girl's like, you know what? Let's go. So I got home from work and I said, let's go. Yes. I ran around the court. I shoot some hoops. The majority of them didn't make it in the basket.
I feel like Burberry was pretty good. She did make a few shots. Yes. Yeah. And I beat you too. And I was there, you know, and you threw the ball over the fence instead of making it in the basket.
Hey, I wanted to shoot at 3-pointers and I threw them. But, you know, above all, it was, we like doing things outdoors, but we have not done this in a very long while. And the fact that, you know, the kids thought about it, and when they brought it, I'm like, yeah, why not? I got home from work. The sun was still out. We went on the court. We spent an hour.
Luckily for us, it didn't rain because it's been raining every night.
Yeah, actually, the day after, it rained.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
But it was good. We spent some time out. I shoot some hoops. I ran around the court, get some exercise. And, it worked out.
We need to do it more often, though.
Yeah,
because the girls really like it.
I really need to do it more often.
And I realized that I don't have to really get on the road for going for a walk. I could just do my 10 lap.
Right on the tennis court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
We got some exercise.
That's why my face is slim, I'm a little slimmer. You can see my neck bone here.
I have no neck bone. But yeah, it worked out. I mean, we spent some time outdoors. The kids had some fun.
They had a good time.
I had some fun.
Yes.
I mean, it's amazing how when you out like this, all of the craziness that happens that you have going on in your life, you kind of forget them all.
Yeah.
I mean, I was more concentrating on trying to see what I could do to put a ball in the basket. But hey, listen, I haven't practiced that for years, so I shouldn't have expected to be better than the kids because they were much better than I was.
Right, they were.
Yeah.
But overall, it was a great time. We had a great time. Yes, we had a great time. It was a great week. Although in Florida, it's raining like crazy. It is somewhat. I just don't get it how we are entering into fall season at the same time here in Florida. We're preparing for the storm. How is this possible?
Well, we're in Florida.
It's like
the storm hit already. So, but we were school were closed on that Thursday.
Still were closed, but my kids still had school. They reopened
on Friday. Yeah, it was only closed for one day.
My kids had school.
Well, your kids don't go to campus. The hurricane should not have had any impacts on
anyone.
Well, it should. I mean, the school
closed. There was a lot of parents complaining why they had those schools. On which day was it? On Thursday.
You weren't outdoors. You weren't outside that day, but it was crazy windy.
Yes, it was.
That was a concern because the buses had to run and these things. I don't know how good they do, but they said if the wind's at a certain speed, they can't run the buses. And if the buses can't run, you can't pick up the kids nor drop them off. So I understand. It just that it created inconvenience for parents.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's been our weekend in Florida. Hopefully that's the only storm we have. Now, it didn't hit our area, but in other parts of the state, it did cause some damages. We're lucky, and we hope that anyone who may have been a victim of the storm damages, that they find ways to get better and get back in the homes and be able to carry on with life as normal. So let's get into the topic of the day. Now, today's episode is one that a lot of people might secretly relate to. It's not one thing that people will come out and says, I don't like my spouse.
Yeah.
Well, that could get you in the doghouse.
But we know we're thinking it.
We know that there are moments that your spouse do things, or you just don't like him there. You still love him though, but at that moment he's just not there. So let's get into it because we're tackling this and it's a big one. Loving your spouse while you don't like them.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's been time. I can remember, like, as if it was yesterday. I was like, you're lucky I'm your wife.
Let's face it. Even in the best relationship, there are moments when your spouse won't necessarily like you. And I know that. I know there are times that I do things and Cece's like, just leave me alone. Now, that doesn't mean she doesn't love me. I know that at that time, she just couldn't stand me. And I'm okay with it. And I do my best to understand that this is why. And if it's something that I shouldn't do, I'll make sure that I don't do it again. So when that happened, it may have been something that annoyed her, or if it's me who's not like her, something that annoyed me, or maybe there were some tensions. Mm-hmm. And I do my best to acknowledge, how did we get to that point? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's after heated arguments, although we don't have too many heated arguments, but it does happen. Mm-hmm. And anyone who's in a relationship, you can relate to what I'm talking about. You know that.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yes, I agree. It can happen, especially with so much going on in the world today, right? It's so easy for people to get stressed either at work or from work, right? Or life itself.
Oh, yes. I mean,
pressure.
Tell me about it. It's all type of pressure. Work, home, financials.
Yeah.
There's a number of things that could put a lot of stress on us. Mm-hmm. And when we're dealing with these, sometimes it causes us to do things that may make our spouse not to like us.
Yeah.
But in the midst of all of this, how do you keep your love strong, even when the like isn't there?
Absolutely. And there's been days, there's been times, and you know that. I mean, it's just normal. Like we talked about last week, when your spouse get on your nerve and you just don't like them. It's just normal. Right? All right. So let's get real about something here. Loving a spouse and liking them in every moment are two different things.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
It's like, I love you, babe. But I know there are times where you get on my nerve. And I know there are times where we get on each other's nerve, right? And there's times where, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I could remember as if it was yesterday, where you got on really, and I was like, I don't like you right now. And it's okay for me to say I don't like you right now because I'm hurt because of something you did to me. It's like, you could give me the world, I still don't like you. I love you, but I don't like you because of the hurt, because of what you did. So so therefore it is two different things. I love you, but at the same time, because of what you did to me, I just can't stand you right now. And it's okay for me not to stand you right now. Doesn't mean I don't love you. I do love you, but I just don't like you.
Listen, sometimes it's not even about the big things. And as a man, I've learned to do my best to pay attention to the small things. The small stuff can add up.
Oof.
Like, listen, there are little things that I forget.
Oof.
Well, I always take the trash out. Well, this week we had a storm. So I didn't pull them out. Your socks on the floor,
your socks on the counter, your socks all over the laundry room.
Sometimes
Not even the laundry room, like on the counter in the bathroom.
Here's my excuse. We wear socks here in the house. We don't wear sandals. We always have socks in. And sometimes I would go in the shower and I'd take the socks off. And I may accidentally put it on the counter and forget about it.
Accidentally put on the counter again. It's like you're dealing with a children where you constantly have to remind them.
It doesn't happen.
Baby, it's a constant reminder. Babe, listen, I know me. I'm dealing with 3 kids. Okay. Yeah. And they'll be asking me, when am I going to have the third one? Because he's the third one here. Don't. Because you're constantly telling your spouse, your husband in particular, like, hey, listen, pick up your clothes.
I do pick up
your socks. Do not mix the clothes. Do not mix the boxers, the underwears with the socks.
Yes. That's
guilty.
I can't defend myself.
Okay, there you go.
Actually, there's no excuse. I should get this, but sometimes I forget. And when I do, I hear about it. And yes, I know the socks on the counter. It happens sometimes more often than it should. But lately I've been doing my best. And you know, sometimes when I work out in the morning, before she wakes up, I go and take a shower. Now the clothes, yes, I will take them all off, but I do roll them all up and take them to the laundry room.
Yes.
Including the socks. So you can't tell me in the last week or so that I could be putting myself in trouble. Let me just not go there. But the little things matter. And I'm doing my best to pay more attention to the little things. And yes, we talk about the socks, but there are other little things that sometimes we miss. Like, sometimes Cece wants me to anticipate some of the things that may be needed in terms of how to be more affectionate and how to do little things out of the blue. I haven't been as much as I should.
Well, one thing I would say that I did appreciate on Tuesday when I went and got my nails done, you folded the clothes. Yes.
I did that.
You know, that was like, act of service, right? Which is one of my...
Yes.
Which is something, you know what?
Just some laundry piling up. So I took them, I folded them, and I did them nicely too.
I don't know about that.
I put them away. The kids help.
So because, I've been the one doing laundry, folding clothes, wash them and fold them. And he surprised me on Tuesday because I went and got my nails done. I went and got some me time. He was off. So he was home with the kids doing school and stuff. And even though we had some stuff going on at the house, the little one FaceTimed me, mommy, daddy's blowing up the house. Daddy's not doing the thing he's supposed to be doing, So I actually did appreciate that you folded the clothes. Although some of the clothes were not folded properly, the way that I usually fold them.
Well, it wasn't you folding them.
But I'm okay with that. When I fold his underwears in your undershirt, there's certain ways that I fold them. But I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything. I just let it be.
They fit in the drawer where I keep them.
So when you put the kids' clothes in the hangers, I don't like it.
The kids were the one that put their clothes in the hangers, not me. I just tell them, hey, come get your clothes. I sorted them out. I said, come get your clothes and put them where they belong.
Okay.
So don't blame me for the kids.
They did good, actually.
But little things like this is important. I mean, yes, I'll make sure that The dishes is kind of like my thing. They're in the sink. I just clean them and put them away.
Yeah.
I made it a point never to leave the house with any dishes in the sink.
Yes.
And I do my best not to let any dishes stay in the sink.
Yeah.
So like this little things like this, I do just to make sure that I can keep her workload as light as possible because she does a whole lot of stuff. And that's how I make sure I stay on her good side.
But let's face it, guys, you know, we're not perfect.
No.
Right? No one is perfect. I know there's times where his socks is going to be somewhere on the counter and I'll be like, you know what? He forgot. Let me just grab it. And there's days where you're going to be like, you know what? She didn't do this, so she forgot. Let me just do it for her. You know? And that's just part of life. And that's what we call life.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect. And I do get it that you and I sometimes not ever going to be on the same page. And it's okay.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. And this is where being in a relationship and understanding the person that you're with makes a big difference. Because when things get out of balance, how do we get them back in balance?
Yeah.
Remember, in this life, we've been conditioned to expect perfection.
Oh, my God.
You know, and in every aspect of our lives, including our relationship, we expect to always get things right. Mm-hmm. Especially the way things are portrayed in social media when it comes to relationship. I mean, people only post the best pictures of their relationship. Yeah. The best dates they've had.
Vacation.
The best vacations they've had.
Gifts. Giving.
The best gift they've ever received or given. Yes.
Yes.
You know, and it almost makes it seem like all of our relationship has to be that way.
Mm-hmm. But the part that we don't get to see is the moment that they argue over the dishes.
Yeah, you don't get to see that. Listen, if it was you posting on social media, would you go and post the most heated arguments we have?
No, I wouldn't.
Because you wouldn't want people to know that you've got issues.
Right.
Right? You rarely see that. Now, I know there's some people that's a little bit crazy on social media. They'll do like some, I've seen people calling others out on stuff.
Yeah.
But the majority of the things you see, it's usually the picture perfect moments.
Right.
And sometimes I know I don't, but people tend to expect their relationship to be that way. Mm-hmm. You know, go on the best vacation, eat the best meals. Mm. I know you've been sending me some restaurants that you want to get to.
I have.
Did you see those on social media?
No, I did not. Actually,
Cece made it a point recently she said it's nice restaurant. She just get the Google link and says, and she reminded me, I've sent you this many. Those are the places. But I do appreciate it though.
Here's the part that I'm trying to help him out, where he doesn't see the part that I'm trying to help him out. Because my husband was one of those where I like to take you this places, but I don't know any places. Then I'm like, okay, well, if I happen to be in the TikTok world and I see someone mention it, I'm actually going to send it over to you.
So right now I have like 4 fancy looking places.
And they're all within 30 minutes, 45 minutes drive.
Yeah, give or take. They're not far.
Now, when the time comes, do not give me, well, I haven't come across any. And I'm going to tell you, sir, I don't like you right now because I've been sending you
see how she set me up? She set me up. I can't say that. Yes, for success. Mm-hmm. But if I happen to miss one, she's going to throw it in my face and says, I sent you this.
And I think it's where we are trying to help each other, because I know when it comes to this of you finding places and stuff, it can be tough for you because you know that I'm very picky when it comes to certain food or certain places. And if I am trying to help him out, there's nothing wrong with like, hey, baby, let's see if we can try this place out, right? And I think that's just, this what's called like, you know, partnership in a relationship, right? Because we are helping each other. I'm helping you, helping me.
Absolutely. And you know, it's good to have that. But, you know, in a relationship where there's that constant frustration, someone keeps missing something. So those everyday frustrations, when they hit, you may feel like your relationship is not measuring up because of everything you're seeing that's being portrayed out there. It's all people's always on the same page with each other. Right. You may feel like your relationship has got problems. Yeah. But here's the truth. Every couple has those moments. Yeah. You just don't see those from the people who's displaying their good time out there. But, you know, what matters in the end is when you're experiencing those frustrations, how do you handle it? In today's world, this fast-paced world that we live in, with pressures from jobs, from kids, and other responsibilities, it's easy. Wife, right? Thanks for adding that. It's, when you're dealing with this thing, it's easy to let stress seep into your relationship.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not even about your spouse that's causing the issues. It's about the stress that's all around you, that's causing every little things to turn into some kind of issue.
Yeah.
And we have to be mindful of what's happening with us. When we get to the point we feel like we're frustrating with what's going on with our relationship, take a step back and look into what's happening with you. There are things that happens to us, and I'll tell you that there's moments that I may leave work and something happened and I'm a little bit ticked off. Now, what I do is I do vent, and I vent to Sissy on the phone.
A lot.
So there's no facial expression. Yeah. And typically it's because in people, unfortunately, not everybody has a relationship where they can just vent. Now, Sissy doesn't take any of that any further than I needed to. She just listens. And afterwards, she's like, you know what? I know you got it and you'll handle it.
Yeah.
And then we take it from there. So when you have a spouse that can disarm you, it does help. Because imagine if I didn't get a chance to vent, and obviously I cannot vent to my employees, and there's no way I'm going to vent to my boss. Right? But if you have someone in your family that you can vent, you can decompress, you can kind of let things, that does help.
Yeah.
But when people are coming home with these things and they're all inside of them, you can look at them the wrong way.
Yeah.
And that just take them off.
Absolutely. And the best person to vent to is your spouse.
Oh, yes. When you're in that place where you're loving your spouse dearly, but you're just not liking him, what do you do?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Well, here's what I say. Take a deep breath. Take a step back to give yourself some time to cool.
Absolutely. Cool off.
I know for me, when I'm frustrated, I need space to process. Now, you won't see it in my face. Typically, I'll just get to myself, but I'm good at reflecting. And I do my best not to deny things. Taking a step back does help. It helps me take a moment to really look inside myself to see what role do I play in whatever's going on. And then allow me to take the best course of action that makes sense to me. And my objective is always, how do I move forward from this, put it behind me, and focus on what happens next?
Yeah.
Now, one thing that's important, sometimes some of us, we may see that, try to fix this is the best thing. Sometimes not fixing it and allow yourself to cool, allow your partner to cool, may be the best way to go. Because when emotions are high and you're trying to fix things, that usually leads to even more heated arguments.
Yeah.
So, and that's why it's important to take that step back, cool down. You can always revisit the conversation. For me, it allows me to see, okay, when I'm revisiting it, I already have a plan in mind as to what I'm going to do. But it always starts with me. Because I try not to ever lay blame on Cece, because anything that happens between us, I always play a part in it. And I always start with this. What did I do that could have made a difference? And then I carry on from there.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. I don't take a
deep breath. Cece points finger. It's you.
I don't point finger. I'm more like, let's talk about it now and then move on and come into a conclusion, as opposed to take a deep breath. And I understand what you said. And I think taking a break is huge.
Yeah.
And I kind of see where you're coming from. And I think at the same time too, it's good to go outside, go for a walk, clear out your head as to what just happened. Yeah, spend some time alone, and which is important. And I think when we get into an argument, like a heated argument, guys, okay, you would look
it hasn't happened in a while.
You would see us here think that, oh, these two never argue. Oh my God, we've had heated argument. We don't ever call each other out. We don't call each other's name. Okay. However, we do get heated arguments.
Not as often.
Maybe not to you. When you don't listen, yes.
See, if Cece's going at something, I usually don't give in to it. Because sometimes she wants me to just hit back. I don't. Because all this does is hitting back.
And sometimes I just want him to hit back, but he doesn't do that. And that's what gets me.
I don't. It's not good for my head. It's not.
What do you mean? Tell me more.
Listen, this argument you get in, you put a lot of energy and effort trying to defend your points. When at the end, if it doesn't change who we are, is it worth it? Because any arguments I get, like sometimes there's conversation that's happening, people sharing this point, and I'm like, okay, when this conversation is done, whoever made the point, how does that change me?
Yeah.
If it doesn't, why waste the time?
Yeah.
Not for conversation's sake. If I'm in a place and we're talking just so I can contribute, which I'm very conservative when it comes to my views.
You are.
And I will never blame someone if I wasn't there to see what they did. If it's just you saying someone did something, don't expect me to gonna lean to you. I'm always gonna lean towards supporting the person who's not there because they always need someone to speak on their behalf.
You just
weird. So that's in that case, I will join conversation. But when it comes to arguments, especially between us, because at the end of the day, I still have to live here with this woman. I have to.
This woman.
I have to live here with this woman, and we have to live together. Your arguments that's not worth it. And again, especially if at the end it doesn't change it. Now there are things that yes, we'll talk about it, but not to the point where we get heated. Now there's sometimes you have no choice. Things happen and things get heated up. But once I realize that it's going, I'll say, you know what, I'm done. Or I just say, you know what, this is you got it. It's you. So whatever point she was discussing, I just give it to her. Sometimes she's saying I'm just doing it because I want to shut up. In some cases, I just want her to relax. You get it. You tell me I did this. You get it. She thinks that I'm upset. I'm not upset. I'm just putting an end to it so it doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I meant when I said that I avoid heated arguments. And it's good for my head if I don't get into one. Because I can carry on to the next thing with a clear mind as opposed to being pissed and being upset because you said something that I didn't like. How does that change me?
Well, at least you get to hear it.
Oh, yeah, I listen.
And I think sometimes men don't like to hear it. They just like to escape from the talk. They want to move on. They want to okay, I don't have the time. I just want to be away from the conversation. But at the same time, it is needed to talk about. We got to talk about it.
Well, I've learned to listen. In those cases when the cases where she doesn't like me, yes, I learned to listen. And she tells me all the things that I shouldn't have done or that may have happened. Yeah. I listen. And then obviously I offered my, you know what, I understand. And I will do better. And sometimes I do better, but sometimes I screwed up again. Not intentionally, it just happened.
Listen.
Even if you're trying to avoid heated arguments, it's good to listen. Because one thing you gotta listen, your spouse, especially ladies, they like to talk. And you gotta give them the moment to talk. I know Cece has trained me to let me know. Because when she's going and I'm like, okay, let's wrap it up. She's like, I gotta make my point. So I just stood there and let her make her point.
And we have to make our point, regardless if you don't have the time. You have to listen.
I know.
Because when y'all don't want to talk, most of the time you will find where the husband or the man, they don't want to say their piece. They don't want to say a whole lot. But it's not. But here's the thing. It's not my fault or it's not our fault that you don't want to talk. If we have to let it all out, you have to listen to the moment, whatever it takes 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's good for you to listen to, hear what we have to say.
Oh, I've been listening. So that I have been. Become a pro at listening.
And I think listening goes both ways. If your spouse is upset, and I think it's so important for you to really listen to what they have to say. I think I mentioned this earlier because I feel like a lot of times we just say things thinking that you get it or our spouse hear us out, but then they're completely in a different world because they're not listening. And you think that, okay, we made ourselves clear, we move on, and then next thing you know,
they didn't get it.
Correct.
That bound to happen. The importance, and I've learned that when you listen, that can potentially help you find out what's going on with your spouse. Because we all deal with stuff. And sometimes if you don't listen clear enough, you may not realize that your spouse may be dealing with something. Mm-hmm. And if they're dealing with something, you're not aware of it, you can't offer help. But if you listen,
right.
And when you realize, you know what, this is what's going on, that puts you in a position to be helpful to them. You know, sometimes knowing what's going on in your spouse's mind can help ease that tension, that tightness that's been going on.
Right.
So listening has some benefits. Now, I know as CC talks a lot and I've learned to listen.
I don't talk a lot, babe. You know that.
But there are things that's going on, especially when it comes to feeling, because what you'll find is that when your spouse or your wife is sharing something with you, there's a lot of emotion tied to it.
Right.
One thing I've learned to not do, well, I'm still learning. Do not interrupt. Don't try to cut them off and cut it short. Just listen. Listen, let them pour out the emotions, because what you'll find is that after they've told you everything they needed to, they'll feel better afterwards. You can have a much better conversation if you let them just get it all out.
Listen.
But above all, you'll find that if you listen, you can uncover what's going on with your partner, and that may put you in a position to be more helpful to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you're more helpful to them, that helps you solve whatever problem is going on a lot quicker. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, it will. That's something I know. You know about me.
Oh, yes. I know that about you. There's no lie in that. I know it.
So how do you choose love through the hard times? That's something that I know you and I were talking about earlier. How do we choose love through a hard time, right?
Well, love itself is a choice.
It's not a feeling?
It's a choice. Well, our feelings, sometimes we choose to feel the way we feel.
Okay.
But love itself, it's a choice. You choose to love someone because you know how they make you feel, or you know what's in it for you, and you know what you're willing to put up. So you choose to love that someone. It's not always the butterfly and the romance, which I still don't know what the butterflies feels like. Sometimes
you've had it, baby.
Maybe I had it, but
you
still
had it
don't
the
know.
night of our wedding. You had it.
Maybe I did.
You did.
It may not be those things. Many times it's you choosing to stay connected with the person that you're with, even when things are tough.
Right.
Because the love that we share, it's a commitment we made to each other.
That's right.
It's a commitment that says, you know what? I'm with this person because I can grow. I can produce life. With this person, we can grow old together. So if you made that commitment together, despite of what's happening, if you remember what that commitment is, you will always find reasons to carry on with this person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yes, the moments that you won't like them.
You don't like them at the moment.
And when the like isn't there, if you can find little things to do, you'll bring that like back.
Yeah.
You would.
Yes, I agree. And I think, there's, like I said earlier, there's the in the moment, like the moment that's going on right now. Yeah. I may not like what you did to me. Yeah, there's days I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast where I don't like you for certain things.
Like if I can mention this, but I think maybe 3 podcasts ago, you mentioned that I did something that was really bad, and I'm sure you didn't like me at that moment. But to bring that like back, I got some flowers. I think I even got a card that says I'm sorry. I did some other stuff, and now she likes me again. So
yeah, I do.
So and this is what I'm saying. When things happen that may put you in a position where you're not liking each other, look to see what can you do to bring that like back.
Right.
And sometimes the little gestures.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you're like Sissy, she needs the time.
To
recover.
From
and you gotta allow that time. But but if you're leaning into the love that you have, you'll always find it in you to be able to find those little things to bring that like back.
Yes.
Because the worst thing that anyone in a relationship could do is like, oh, really? That's how you behaving? Yeah. Now I'm pissed as well. So now you have 2 upset people living in a house. They're not talking to each other. They're just upset. Nah, that's not life.
I mean, I know it's not life. And I know when you mentioned what you did to me a couple of months ago, actually, I think it was last month or July, sometimes in the summer.
It happened so long ago.
And, the effort that you actually went out of your way to start making me liking you again, it was more like we still had love for each other because, of course, you're my husband. I always love you. But I think it was more like, I didn't like what you did, so therefore I couldn't stand you the whole week.
I know. I remember that.
I couldn't stand you. And I truly feel like, when if you happen to be someone that may have some kind of a similar, situation happen, I think what the good thing is to plan a date, planning a date night.
Yeah.
Even sometimes, like I said earlier, I was really down at that moment and I was very frustrated, but you actually did your best.
I worked my magic.
You did do what you did.
And made it happen.
You did work your magic.
Well,
because you're trying to get my like back.
Of course.
And
then you got to be willing. And listen, if one of you is at fault, that's why I said I'm the type of person that if I miss something, if I screwed up on something, I'm not gonna fight to make it seem like I was right.
Yeah.
We all screwed up, and I'm good with that. I understand that sometimes I don't get things right, but it's what I do after.
Right.
And yes, I've been able to reestablish that like. And I intend to keep reestablishing that like as things happen. So, those little gestures are important. Yeah. Whether you go on a date, like Sissy mentioned earlier, find something to do to reconnect with your spouse or your partner. And as you put in the effort, you realize that sometimes it doesn't take much. You just have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
And as you go to these rough patches, those little things can help.
Absolutely.
And also, don't forget the humor. Don't forget. Now, if you're not a comedian, then maybe go learn to tell some jokes. But, humor can help reduce the tension. It can bring a little laughter. It can break the ice. Now, don't let your egos get in the way. The first couple of jokes you make may not quite go well because they're still pissed. But eventually, they'll come around. And, don't be afraid to lighten the mood. And remember that you're together for a reason. And you're together to build something.
Right.
Whatever little thing that may have happened is a lot smaller than the big thing that you're working towards. So always remind yourself why you're together.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
And as you were talking, I'm thinking about, when you do certain things not to like the person, or when you happen to not in the mood of liking you, if you or I did something, you have to have the courage to come and apologize and say, you know what? I know you don't like me right now, but I'm sorry for what I did or for what went wrong. Because I think it's important for you to apologize for what happened, knowing the fact that your spouse or your girlfriend don't like you at the moment, but you still went out of your way and apologized, which is important.
Yeah.
Right? And I think, for us too, faith is a huge part of our marriage, of our relationship. When we feel like things gets hard, we realize so much on our prayers. We realize so much on trust that God is working on us, on both of us.
Oh, yes.
Especially you.
I'm a work in progress. What can I say?
And as always, there's a reason for every season, even the tough ones, right?
Oh, yes.
And through prayer, a lot can happen.
Yeah, and we must always remember that we have to be patient. We have to be patient with each other.
Yes.
You're not always going to get it right. And I don't know how many times I'm going to say this. We're not always going to get it right.
We're not perfect.
But remember, you in this together for the long haul.
That's right.
This is not I do it this weekend, we break it off next week. No, this is a lifetime commitment.
This is till death to us apart. That's what it says.
Yeah.
And a lot of y'all tend to forget that part.
So we got to learn to give grace to each other.
Listen.
You cut them some slack sometimes. I still hold them accountable, though.
Yes.
If you make a mistake, I'm going to put it in your face. You made a mistake. So I'm still going to give you some grace and not hold it over your head every 2 seconds because you got to get better.
You have to get better.
But I can't make life impossible for you just because you made that mistake.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how big the mistake is. It could be like the worst mistake. Just always be open to taking your partner. I don't care. They go out and cheat and have tons of kids out there.
Excuse me? Well, I can excuse you. I don't know what he's talking about.
Since we were talking about forgiveness and accept your partner, and I thought I'd throw that in there.
Really? You're going to be one of those people, huh?
Yeah.
Really?
But all seriousness, do your best to make sure that you can reestablish things. And whatever moments you're going in is not forever.
Yes.
It will not last forever. Just because you're in a rough patch at this time doesn't mean your relationship is broken.
Right.
Your marriage is still good.
Yes.
You're just having a moment.
A season. Yes.
It's just a season. And remember, with times, with patience, with commitment,
with prayer,
with hard work, with prayer,
trusting in God.
Yes. Things will get better.
Absolutely.
But it'll take some work from all parties to make things better.
Absolutely.
So I know today we talked a lot about love your partner, but going through moments where you don't like them. And I want you all to know that it's normal. It's normal for that to happen. Because when you're in a relationship, there are bound to be moments where you disagree, moments where you have arguments, moments where, things don't quite happen. Because remember, this life is not perfect. And I've always said this, if you're in a relationship that you never argue, you never disagree, someone is lying to the other person. And eventually, someone will get fed up and things will blow out. So it's okay to have disagreement. It's okay to maybe for a day or two, you don't like your partner.
Right.
But what's important is that when that moment happened, you don't like your partner has to realize that there's a reason why you don't like them, which means you got to communicate. You got to share with your partner what's going on, where they screwed up, where they can do better. And whoever the partner is, they have to be willing to take that in.
Right.
Because when we talk about growing your relationship, that means growing ourselves as well, which means we'll have to maybe sometime change the way we do things just to make sure that it helps the relationship. Right. Some of us are stubborn, not me, but some of us are stubborn. We don't listen. If you're running into issues where you're constantly having problems with your spouse because you're not listening, maybe you should listen. Or maybe if you're stubborn, your idea is always you, maybe you can take a step back and listen to their ideas. Maybe try implementing one of their ideas to see how things work out. Because when you're in a relationship, you're in it together. And you got to be willing to compromise a little bit on some of the values you have just to make sure that you can keep running the relationship. Because when it's a relationship, it's never a one-man show.
Right.
It's two people.
That part.
That's in this together. And you got to be willing to do together what's necessary so you can move forward. So in that say, keep choosing love above everything else.
Yes.
If you choose love, remember I said earlier, love is a choice. If you choose love, you'll find the strength to do everything else.
That's right, babe. That was good. That was really good.
So we want to thank you for tuning in, and we hope today's episode gives you all of the things that I talked about earlier, some insights, some tips. And remember to share this with someone who might need to hear it, or a couple who might need to hear it.
Yes.
And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast for more real, relatable, and inspiring conversation just like this one. If you're looking for some more inspiration on how to make your relationship better, watch this video here where we talk about ways to make your relationship better. And please try to implement the things that we talked about in it. And hopefully your relationship will be at whatever level you want it to be. So with that said, we thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next Saturday. Until next time, keep loving, keep growing together. Peace.